It's time for a weekly Coach's Corner, and this week our spotlight goes on our Ponca City swim team and Amanda Porter, the swim team. Hard to believe you already hit 4 or 5 matches so far our meets, haven't you?
4 thus far, yes.
You were in Oklahoma City this past weekend. How'd things go down there?
It went really well. It was the first time we'd attended the Joe Stalker Invitational. It was a big meet, and the kids got to kind of get a feel for what a larger scale meet was, so it was good.
Now this is at the same location that your state event will be at?
It is at the same place that it used to be held at. This year it will be held at Jinx.
So they're switching that up then. Boy,
Yes,
it's been in Oklahoma City for ever since I can remember. So.
Yes, it has.
Okay, so this weekend you had a big event, but you had 3 previous events. I know that you've swum against Stillwater and a couple of other schools. How have things gone to this point in the season?
Things so far have gone great. We've been to a couple other invitationals. I guess this weekend would have been our 5th. We went to Tulsa Union Invitational, we've been to Tulsa Memorial Invitational, and we've hosted Mustang and Stillwater. In the invitationals, we fared well. Memorial, we placed 3rd overall out of about 12. And at Union, we placed 4th out of 9. And at home, the other night, Thursday, we hosted Mustang and we lost by 24 points. But we had 21 kids in the water and they had 48. So in my book, it was a win.
You've had one home event. I know you have a home event coming up in the next couple of weeks, but there's not a lot of home events, are there, for Ponca City Swimming?
Not this year. Last year I stacked it more towards home, and this year we're traveling a little more just out of convenience and necessity for wanting to get some good meets in for the kids.
Hard to believe. This is your 4th or 5th year to do this?
5th.
5th year to be our head coach. Let's start with the girls, and if you could, maybe highlight if you could, maybe some of the girls on your squad and what the strengths are of that team.
This year we have quite a few girls, but a lot of them are new joins. So with some of them we're just really working on strokes and how to race and whatnot. We have a pretty strong core for the girls team. We have Samantha Wigley, who puts in our distance work. We actually have Becca Clinton, who you also know is our girls softball pitcher. She's one of my sprinters. She came out for us last year and was going to just use swimming as a great off season, but has actually been a good competitor. Alexis Wiles is also a new join this year. She's a senior, and she has showed up quite forcefully on the sprinting scene.
Well, boys, same question.
My boys team this year is very strong. We currently have one of the top 3 rankings so far in the state, which is very exciting because I also have a boys team of 7. I probably have the smallest boys team, but obviously putting a lot of impact on the state. I have Kyle Barrick, who of course is my sprinter. Garrett Myers, who does my middle distance, and Garrett Bachelet. He does more of my off strokes like medleys and the breaststroke. We have Gage Barrick, who is Kyle's younger brother, coming in this year as a freshman, who is making a big difference in our relay positions.
It's interesting because we talk a lot about numbers and how numbers in most meets can result in obviously more points, but sometimes quality is better than quantity, isn't it?
Absolutely. I've always said that you can almost never have enough swimmers on a team, but with such a small boys team this year, they're definitely a force to be reckoned with, and it is because they are such high-quality swimmers.
And our swim program as a whole, through our younger swimmers, are you seeing that you're getting some good quality, lots of participation, enthusiasm?
Oh, yes. Of course, as you know, the Summer Olympics this year were held. And after the Summer Olympics, you always have a surge of little ones wanting to join because they saw the Olympians do it on TV. And so I love it. It's a great basis for a feeder program for the high school.
You use the term new join, which I've never heard that, but it's exactly what it says. New join, that's kind of sometimes whether or not you finish 5th or 4th or new joins are very important to your program, aren't they?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, because, it's one of those things. You never know if you're going to be good at something if you don't try. And swimming is a hard sport, and generally if a kid can do it and stick with it, they can become pretty good.
It's a year rare when you don't have somebody, though, that maybe you didn't have the year before, that you it's rare that you don't get somebody to come in and to find out that they like it. And swimming's that type of sport where, maybe you start out as a novice, but you can really get better. I bet you've got a bunch of kids you could name off the top of your head that came in, didn't think they'd be very good, and they ended up being outstanding for you.
Oh, absolutely. Becca Clinton is one of my biggest examples. She came last year just wanting to use it as a strength building for her softball pitching. And I mean, as we all know, she is a softball pitcher. And it ended up after she kind of learned the stroking technique, I started to see, well, wait a minute, why don't we try this? And now she is on my girls A relay.
Swimming is a great sport to do that, to enhance another sport, but also to find out that there's more things than maybe sports with balls. You can have a sport that requires the coordination of swimming, and I bet kids get in that water and they love it then.
Absolutely. It's different than anything that most typical athletes have experienced. They're basketball players or baseball, football, something like that. But then they get into this, and a lot of kids come into it thinking, "Oh, I can run up and down the court for 30 minutes at a time. I can do this," and it is unlike any sport they've ever experienced. So a lot of the appeal in it for high school students is the challenge of it.
It's also, it sounds like your teams are really ready to go, kind of tapering at this time. You get toward Christmas, and then after that, I'm sure you get them in the right direction, heading for the last few meets of the year.
We're still pushing hard. We're pushing very hard. We won't start a taper until the end of January. My kids, every season in August, they're chomping at the bit for state. So.
Absolutely. Well, it sounds like you've got a great thing going on. Good luck to you, Amanda. And on the 13th, they'll be in the home pool for their next match. Amanda Porter, high school swim coach on Coach's Corner.